Somewhere in a Ford dealership in Denver tonight, a 42-year-old software developer named Rachel is signing paperwork to trade in the 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E she paid $52,000 for 3 years ago. The dealer has offered her $19,000 for it. She arrived at 10 in the morning. She has been in the dealership for over 4 hours negotiating the trade-in, the loan payoff, and the paperwork on the replacement vehicle. She financed $46,000 of the original purchase at 4.9%, which means she still owes $28,000 on a vehicle she is walking away from tonight worth $9,000 less than the loan balance. She is not upset, she is not embarrassed. She is walking out of that dealership with the keys to a 2017 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid that she paid $18,500 in cash for, and a plan to wire $9,000 to her credit union tomorrow morning to close out the Mach-E loan and never think about an electric vehicle again. She is not the first customer at that Ford dealership this month to make the same trade. The salesman told her that 8 other Mach-E owners had walked in with the same request in the past 3 weeks. And across America right now, in dealership lots and Facebook Marketplace listings and Carvana, return centers from Los Angeles to Boston to Miami to Seattle to Chicago, hundreds of thousands of Americans are doing the exact same thing. The wave started in 2023. It accelerated through 2024 and 2025. And by the middle of 2026, it has become impossible for the electric vehicle industry to ignore. Consumer Reports published its 2026 Owner Satisfaction Survey earlier this year, showing that only 45% of Volkswagen CD4 owners would buy the vehicle again, placing it among the lowest satisfaction vehicles on the American market, alongside several other electric models that have struggled with reliability and ownership complaints. Ford wrote off $19.5 billion on its American electric vehicle projects in 2024 and cut production of the F-150 Lightning significantly. General Motors quietly reduced electric vehicle production targets across multiple model lines. Rivian has continued to struggle financially. Tesla has watched its stock lose significant value from its peak, partly due to political controversy surrounding its chief executive. And the customers who bought electric vehicles at the peak of the pandemic-era enthusiasm are now trading them in at rates the industry did not anticipate and cannot recover from without significant structural changes to how electric vehicles are priced, serviced, and supported. By the end of this, you will understand exactly why millions of American electric vehicle owners are regretting their purchase, what the 8 reasons are that keep coming up in every conversation with customers who have traded their electric vehicles back in, what those customers are buying instead, and why the industry that spent a decade selling the American public an electric future is now watching its customer base migrate in the opposite direction faster than any manufacturer anticipated. Every number in this documentary comes from real dealer records, real manufacturer financial reports, and real community forums where the switch is being documented in real time. Let us get into it. Let me tell you about Rachel, because her story is the story of hundreds of thousands. She is 42 years old. She works remotely as a software developer for a financial services company based in San Francisco. She bought the Mach-E in 2023 because she wanted to reduce her carbon footprint, because the federal tax credit made the math look reasonable at the time, and because every review she read told her that the American automotive future was electric. She financed the vehicle at 4.9% through her credit union. She installed a level 2 charger in her garage at a cost of $2,400, including electrical work. She calculated her expected fuel savings against her previous Honda Civic and concluded the switch would save her money over 5 years. 3 years later, she has run the actual numbers. The Mach-E lost half its value in less than 3 years. Her insurance premium climbed from $1,100 a year on the Civic to $2,850 a year on the Mach-E. The winter range in Denver dropped from an advertised 300 miles to a real-world 180 miles in single-digit Fahrenheit weather. And the level 2 charger she installed added approximately $85 a month to her electric bill, which was money she had not budgeted for. Her total 3-year cost of ownership on the Mach-E, factoring in depreciation, insurance, electricity, and the charger installation, came to approximately $34,000. Her equivalent 3-year projection on the RAV4 hybrid she just bought, factoring in depreciation, insurance, gasoline, and standard maintenance, comes to approximately $11,000. The differential is over $23,000, which is another way of saying the EV industry cost Rachel more than half a year of her take-home pay. What Rachel keeps coming back to, in the 20 minutes she spends waiting for the paperwork to finalize, is how completely the automotive industry and the environmental advocacy community had convinced her that the EV was the responsible choice. Every news article she read told her the future was electric. Every review told her the technology had matured. Every advocacy organization framed EV ownership as the choice a responsible person made. And none of them ever ran the actual math on what a working professional in Denver, driving 12,000 miles a year, would pay across 5 years to own an EV versus a comparable hybrid. The reason nobody ran the math, Rachel is realizing tonight, is because the math would have collapsed the entire consumer EV market 10 years earlier than it is collapsing now. The customer was sold a premium environmental arrangement she never needed, at prices she could not sustain, using a technology that never made economic sense for the actual use case the customer was solving for. Now the 8 reasons. This is what keeps coming up in every single conversation with the American EV owners who have traded their vehicles back in over the past 12 months. Every one of these has real data behind it, and every one of these is a piece of what makes the great American EV retreat of 2026 the most predictable financial correction the automotive industry has faced in decades. Reason 1 is the depreciation collapse. And this is where the EV wealth transfer becomes personal for every owner who tries to sell. A new EV loses between 30 and 50% of its value in the first year, depending on the model, which is roughly double the depreciation rate of a comparable gasoline vehicle. Within 3 years, most EVs have lost 60 to 75% of their original value. Tesla vehicles have depreciated slightly less than the industry average across the past 2 years. But even Tesla resale values have dropped significantly from their pandemic peak. The Ford Mach-E, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Volkswagen ID.4, and the Chevy Bolt have all seen resale value collapses that industry analysts describe as unprecedented. The customer who financed an EV at peak pricing in 2022 or 2023 is now underwater on the loan, owing more than the vehicle is worth on the resale market. Rachel's Mach-E, at $52,000 in 2023, was worth $19,000 at trade-in in 2026. That is not a rounding error. That is $33,000 of wealth transferred from Rachel's balance sheet to somebody else's inside of 3 years, on a vehicle she was told would be a smart environmental and financial decision. Reason 2 is the insurance rate shock. And this is where the ownership economics collapse, in a way electric vehicle advocates never mentioned during the marketing push. Electric vehicles cost significantly more to insure than comparable gasoline vehicles. Because the repair costs after collision are dramatically higher, the battery packs are expensive to replace even in minor accidents, and the specialty parts require certified technicians the standard auto body shop network cannot provide. Insurance premiums on electric vehicles run 30 to 50% higher than on equivalent gasoline vehicles across most American markets. A Ford Mach-E that costs $2,850 a year to insure would have cost approximately $1,600 a year as a gasoline Ford Escape. That insurance differential alone across 5 years of ownership exceeds $6,000, and the trend is not moving in the customer's favor. Insurance industry reports across 2025 indicate that electric vehicle premiums are continuing to climb faster than gasoline vehicle premiums, driven by the underlying repair cost data the insurers have accumulated over the past 3 years. Reason 3 is the charging infrastructure gap, and this is where the practical daily operation of an electric vehicle falls apart for anyone who does not have reliable home charging. The American public charging network has expanded significantly across the past 5 years, but the expansion has been uneven, unreliable, and concentrated in narrow corridors that do not cover most of the country. A road trip in an electric vehicle requires meticulous planning around charger locations, backup options in case a station is broken or in use, and time budgeting for charging sessions that can run from 20 minutes to over an hour depending on the station capabilities. The Tesla supercharger network is the most reliable, and Tesla has begun opening its network to non-Tesla electric vehicles. But the rollout of that access has been slow, uneven, and frustrating for the non-Tesla customers trying to use it. Every electric vehicle owner who has been stranded at a broken charger, waited 2 hours behind 3 other vehicles at a busy station, or had to detour 40 miles to find a working charger has learned something the industry marketing materials never mentioned. The convenience of home fueling that gasoline vehicles have provided for a century has no equivalent in the current electric vehicle infrastructure. Reason 4 is the cold weather range loss, and this is the reality that no EV marketing team wants to discuss openly. Every EV on the market loses between 20 and 40% of its rated range in cold weather, and the loss can exceed 50% in extreme cold below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. An EV rated at 300 miles of range in ideal conditions delivers 180 to 210 miles in a Denver winter, 150 to 180 miles in a Minneapolis winter, and can drop below 150 miles in a Fargo winter. The customer who bought the vehicle based on the advertised range number and did not read the fine print on cold weather performance is discovering the actual range in the actual climate they live in, and the number they are seeing is not the number they were sold. Reason 5 is the battery replacement cost, and this is the number that ends most electric vehicle ownership arrangements before the customer ever reaches the mileage where the battery actually needs replacing. Battery packs on current electric vehicles cost between $15,000 and $25,000 to replace, depending on the vehicle and the specific battery configuration. Manufacturer warranties typically cover the battery for 8 years or 100,000 miles, but the customer who buys a used electric vehicle outside the warranty period is looking at a potential $20,000 repair on a vehicle that may only be worth $15,000 at the time. That math kills the used electric vehicle market, which kills the resale value of new electric vehicles, which is exactly why the depreciation curve on new electric vehicles is as brutal as it is, because sophisticated buyers understand the battery replacement risk and are unwilling to pay premium prices for used electric vehicles. If this is landing somewhere real for you, drop the vehicle you would trade in tomorrow if you could in the comments below. I read every comment, and the community wisdom in the comment sections on videos like this one has become one of the most useful resources anyone considering the switch actually has access to. Reason 6 is the repair infrastructure limitation, and this compounds the battery replacement risk into a broader operational problem. EVs require specialty technicians for most significant repairs. The certification requirements are stringent. The training pipeline has not scaled fast enough to keep up with the vehicle deployment. The result is that most American towns of any size have very few technicians qualified to work on EVs beyond basic maintenance. When something breaks, the customer is often looking at a 2-week to 2-month wait for service, and the tow to the nearest qualified shop may be significant. A gasoline Toyota can be serviced by any competent mechanic in any American town. A Ford Mach-E cannot. That infrastructure gap is a real limitation on the operational reliability of an EV as a primary daily driver, and the customers who have experienced it are the loudest voices in the current trade-in wave. Reason 7 is the political and social backlash, and this is where the EV story enters territory that has almost nothing to do with the vehicles themselves. Tesla has watched significant customer defection over the past 2 years, driven partly by controversy surrounding its chief executive's political activities. The customers who bought Teslas in 2020 or 2021 as environmental and progressive statements have quietly traded them in as their personal political feelings shifted. The customers who never wanted a Tesla in the first place have felt vindicated. And the EV market as a whole has been dragged into a political conversation that the vehicles themselves were never designed to participate in. The result is a customer base whose motivations for buying have become confused, whose loyalty to the platform has been undermined by factors unrelated to the driving experience, and whose willingness to defend the purchase to friends and family has evaporated in the face of ongoing controversy. Reason 8 is the total cost of ownership shock, And this is where every previous reason compounds into a financial reality most electric vehicle owners never anticipated. The purchase price, plus the insurance, plus the depreciation, plus the charging infrastructure, plus the potential battery replacement, plus the repair costs, plus the reduced resale value produces a total cost of ownership on an electric vehicle that is dramatically higher than the equivalent gasoline or hybrid vehicle across most usage patterns. The federal tax credits that made the initial math look reasonable have been reduced or eliminated for many models. The state incentives have varied by region and are being phased out in some jurisdictions. The utility rebates for home charger installation have expired in many markets. What is left is a naked cost comparison between an electric vehicle and a comparable hybrid, and the hybrid wins in nearly every scenario except for households with unusually high daily mileage on predictable routes with reliable home charging access. So what are the customers trading their electric vehicles in for? The pattern has been remarkably consistent across the past 12 months. The largest category by volume is the Toyota hybrid family. The Toyota RAV4 hybrid, the Camry hybrid, the Highlander hybrid, and the Prius have all seen significant increases in used market demand from customers coming off electric vehicle leases and trade-ins. The Toyota hybrids deliver 40 to 50 miles per gallon, cost a fraction to insure, work in any climate without range anxiety, and can be serviced by any mechanic in any American town. They are the vehicles the electric vehicle industry told customers were technologically obsolete. They turned out to be the vehicles the customers actually needed. The second largest category is used Japanese and Korean gasoline vehicles built before 2015. Toyotas, Hondas, and Hyundais built before the current generation of complex electronics and expensive parts are being purchased by customers who want simple, reliable, cheap transportation without any of the ownership complications that electric vehicles introduced. A 2012 Toyota Camry with 90,000 miles can be purchased for $8,000 in most markets. It gets 30 miles per gallon, it costs $600 a year to insure, it can be serviced by anyone, and it will run for another 150,000 miles with routine maintenance. For customers who just want to get from home to work reliably and cheaply, the used older Toyota is objectively a better transportation solution than any current electric vehicle on the market. The third category is the Ford Maverick hybrid and other compact hybrid trucks. Customers who wanted the utility of a truck but could not afford the operating costs of an F-150 or a Silverado are finding that the Maverick hybrid delivers 42 miles per gallon combined, costs approximately $22,000 to $28,000 new, and has become one of the most requested vehicles on American dealer lots. Ford cannot build them fast enough to meet demand. The trucks are being purchased by former electric vehicle owners who wanted the practicality of a truck bed without the range anxiety and repair complications of an electric truck. The fourth category is going carless entirely. A meaningful percentage of former electric vehicle owners have decided that the transportation arrangement they actually need is not a personal vehicle at all. They are moving closer to work, using public transit, using rideshare services for occasional needs, and eliminating the entire cost structure of vehicle ownership. This category is smaller than the others but growing, particularly among urban customers who bought electric vehicles for environmental reasons and have concluded that eliminating the vehicle entirely is the more consistent environmental choice. The fifth category is motorcycles and scooters. Former EV owners who need daily transportation, but who have watched their auto insurance premiums climb past $3,000 a year are switching to motorcycles that can be insured for $400 to $800 a year, get 50 to 70 miles per gallon, and eliminate the parking headaches of a full-size vehicle entirely. The trend is most visible in California, Arizona, and Florida, where the year-round riding weather makes motorcycle ownership a practical option for the entire year. And a small but growing group of former EV owners are switching to electric bicycles, which have exploded in capability over the past 3 years and now provide a 20 to 40 mile range at a fraction of the cost of any electric vehicle on the market. Meanwhile, the country continues to allocate hundreds of billions of dollars per year to electric vehicle subsidies, charging infrastructure investment, and manufacturer bailouts. While the American customers who bought the vehicles those subsidies were supposed to encourage are quietly trading them in for the hybrids, and used gasoline vehicles the industry told them were obsolete. The engineers who designed current electric vehicles did not intend to disappoint their customers. They designed vehicles that worked well in narrow use cases, in narrow climates, with dedicated charging arrangements, and marketed them to customers whose actual use cases, climates, and charging arrangements did not match the vehicles they were sold. The result is not a technology failure, it is a marketing and infrastructure failure that produced millions of Americans holding vehicles that do not fit their actual lives. Which brings us back to Rachel in the Denver dealership tonight, driving her 2017 Toyota RAV4 hybrid home for the first time with $23,000 more in projected 5-year savings than her Mach-E arrangement, an insurance premium that dropped by 62%, no charging infrastructure to maintain, no cold weather range anxiety, no battery replacement risk, and a vehicle any mechanic in any Colorado town can service. She is not the exception, she is the beginning of the wave. And by the time the wave crests, the American electric vehicle market will have contracted to the narrow use cases where electric vehicles actually make sense. And the customers who never should have been sold electric vehicles in the first place will have quietly gone back to the vehicles that were always the right answer for their actual lives. So the honest question this leaves you with is this. If the EV industry knew all along that the arithmetic did not work for most American driving patterns, and if the collapse now visible in every dealership trade-in queue was predictable years in advance, what does that tell you about who benefited from the boom and who is always going to be left holding the loss when the boom ended? Drop the vehicle you would trade in tomorrow in the comments. Drop the year you bought your current vehicle if you regret it. Drop the make and model you wish you had bought instead. I read every comment, and the wisdom in the comments on videos like this one is genuinely how the community keeps figuring this out together. And if you are out there tonight in an EV you cannot afford to keep and cannot sell without taking a significant loss, you are not alone. There are hundreds of thousands of Americans facing the same math right now, and the industry that put you there is not going to help you find your way out. If you or someone you know is facing housing instability because of an underwater vehicle loan, there are people who help every day, and it is worth reaching out to a local 211 line or a housing assistance office, because sometimes the thing that changes everything is one call landing at the right moment.